Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We are excited to have you back for another weekday Zoom tasting. Wednesday Zoom tasting, sorry. Words not coming very well today. I missed y'all last week. For those of you who are on, thanks for joining. Thanks for giving me a night off, Alex. I heard he did an amazing job. At least that's what all the feedback said. So I am trusting that that is the truth. So we're going to wait just a few more minutes to get started on the Zoom tasting. We have a few more to arrive. Real quickly, though, I'm going to tell you the order of the tasting so you can get ready. So we're going to start off with the Trebbiano Toscano, and then we're going to move to the Day Wines, orange wine, and then we're going to end up with Padari Chillario orange, and then we're going to finish with the Gustav Schaff orange Chardonnay from Germany. So it should be pretty easy to tell if you have them all lined up. It kind of goes in order of color. And we're going to get started here very, very shortly. Again, thank you all for joining us. Happy Wednesday. We're excited to get tasting. Alex, can you also put the order in the chat function for everybody as well, so that they can reference that if they did not follow along or if they are late to joining for that. So sit back, get some wine in your glass. Don't wait for us to get started to start tasting the very first wine. And we are going to jump right into it here very, very shortly. All right. While we're waiting real quick, just want to plug once again our Natural Wine Festival, the Natural Wine Experience. This Sunday, I think most of you already have tickets, but if for some reason you're on here and you don't have tickets yet, go to the website, grab some tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great chance to explore natural wines in all different styles from all different regions, from some great producers. We're going to have a bunch of distributors and importers in the store tasting their wines. We're going to have a little bit of charcuterie from a local charcuterie board queen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to give it just one more minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get started again. If you were late to joining, Alex has put the order of the wines in the chat function for you, and we're going to taste some amazing orange wines. All right, I'm tired of waiting, so I think we're going to get started. 7:04. All right, I'm going to give it one more minute. 7:05. Getting impatient today because I really want to taste these wines too. Again, don't wait for me to start to get something in your glass and to be enjoying something. Cheers, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Hey, just a plug for orange wine in general. This is just a tiny selection of what we have at the store. We've got another, 15 orange wines plus some sparklings. So if you like what you taste, come check us out. We got a lot of fun stuff to try.
Yep. Thank you, Alex. We absolutely do. If you haven't been into the store recently, right up front, there's this huge section of all of our orange and rosés that are perfect for summer. And then we actually have 2 sparkling barrels now as well. We have some rosé and orange sparkling, and then we have some regular white sparkling as well. But Pet Nat orange rosé, that's all I'm drinking all summer. That's not true. I do finish with reds. I'm a very progressional drinker. So I usually start with bubbles, and then I move to rosé or orange. Actually, I do white, and then rosé or orange, and then red to finish with about a glass of each, not a bottle of each, about a glass of each, but progressively through the evening. That's what I want to do. When I get home from work, I want something cold and bubbly. And then from that, I want something cold and not bubbly, and then something a little warmer, and then something a little warmer. And that's just kind of how I roll. Sometimes throw a red in the cooler, chill it down, finish with that. And all right, it's time to go. Orange wines. The biggest question we got when we first opened the shop, and still do to this day, when we say orange wine, we get a funny look on people's faces, and they say it's made with oranges or it tastes like oranges. Definitely not made with oranges. Sometimes it tastes like oranges, but not always. Orange wine is a relatively new category to the market, but it's not a new category to wine. This used to be how all white wine was made back in the day, like hundreds of years ago, before there were preservatives, before there was refrigeration, before we had any of these things to help wine travel safely and get to you safely and to be enjoyed in, or to be aged in a cold environment. Before we had any of those things, orange wine was the way all white wine was made because it would last longer. The skins would preserve the wines naturally over long voyages, over traveling, over time, all of those things. You know, the recipe used to be, you just take a bunch of white grapes, you throw them into a barrel, you let them sit for a while with the skins on it, and you have white wine. There are some producers that are doing that again, and there's some really fun ones. We should be seeing something from Italy along those lines here pretty soon. Some really old vineyards. They don't even know what's planted in it. They just take a bunch of white grapes and they put them together, and they ferment it with the skin contact. So I'm rambling, but orange wine is basically white grapes that see skin contact. Another word for it is amber wine. Another word for it is copper wine. In Italy, a lot of times they will call it ramato. We have a wine in our store that has ramato on the label, the il ramato. That means copper. And so the color is coming from the skins. All white grapes have color. They're not white. They're not clear. They're either green, yellow, gray. They have some sort of color in the grape skins themselves. And so when you make an orange wine, you just leave the skins for a little bit of time, 24 hours to, as we'll see at the end, a year on skins. And so that's what gives it the color. That's what gives it the name. Sometimes it does taste like oranges, but not always. And it's really, really one of my favorite categories of wine for summertime. I love rosé too. Rosé is red grapes that see limited skin contact, so kind of the inverse, but they usually see about the same amount of skin contact, orange versus rosé. Put a little chill on them. Some of them can get a little funky and weird, as we'll get into. We don't even have really funky, weird ones, but there are some funky, weird ones out there. And like I said, it's just a great alternative to rosé. The skin contact adds the color, the texture, the flavor, and the tannin sometimes to the wine. The tannin is the dryness on the back of red wines, some rosés, some orange wines. It definitely gives more flavor. So the reason they're putting the skins in there, originally it was for preservation, and it still works today for preservation, but it also adds complexity. It adds depth. It adds other nuances and flavors that you would not get traditionally with just a regular white wine. Sometimes more savory, sour, and nutty, as we'll get into the one that looks really dark and weird in the lineup. If you're looking at those, the Gustav Schaff orange. So that's what we're getting into today. If you've never had orange wines, it's going to be an awesome experience. If you've had orange wines, you're going to really enjoy this because there's some great ones on the schedule. So the first wine that we're going to get into is from Tuscany. Tuscany, everybody knows, it's the most famous wine region in Italy. It's where Chianti comes from. It's where Brunello di Montalcino comes from. It's where some of the most famous Super Tuscans, hence the name Super Tuscan, comes from. And there's some amazing orange wines being done in Tuscany too. Trebbiano is the king of the Tuscan white grapes. There's quite a few Tuscan white grapes, but Trebbiano is the king. And we actually have 3 or 4 Trebbiano orange wines in the store at any given time. One of my favorites, the Ducky wine, we still have a couple bottles left of it. That's going to be the oldest Trebbiano vines in Tuscany, and it is absolutely freaking delicious. This is also delicious, not as special as the Ducky wine, but we also get a lot more of it than the Ducky wine. This is Miglionar, Migliarina and Montozi. And this is a beautiful estate in the heart of Tuscany. And they also do a Chianti Classico. We don't currently carry that in the store, but we've fallen in love with their Trebbiano skin contact orange wine. Beautiful vineyards, very, very natural producer, certified organic from 20 to 50-year-old vines. So they are old, not quite as old as the one I just referenced, but they are old. And fermented on skin for 7 days in stainless steel. So all this color that you're seeing, all the complexity, the depth, all the flavors are coming from those 7 days of skin contact, also known as maceration, in the fermentation vessel, in this case, stainless steel. And then they aged it in cement after that. So no wood treatment here, no oak, no barrels, just the pure Trebbiano grape and the beautiful aromas and flavors that are coming from that extended skin contact. We call this, along with the Scarbola Il Ramato that I mentioned earlier, we call these our baby orange wines. And the reason we call them the baby orange wines is not because they're less than, they're just more subtle in their flavors, and they're a little bit, they're the closest orange wines that we have to rosé. So when people are making that transition from rosé to orange wine, these wines are the easiest in that transition because they don't have any unique flavors and they don't have any flavors that would surprise you in that transition from rosé. You kind of expect a certain thing from rosé, that sweet kind of peach, pear, melon, strawberry sometimes. And that's typically what Americans think of as rosé, some cherry. And then in these two orange wines, you're getting more of those flavors. Like with this one, I get a lot of peach and pear, just very soft, very juicy, very elegant, very subdued, and an awesome little pool wine, porch wine. You can drink this on its own. Also great with charcuterie boards. All of these wines are very versatile. I love orange wines with meat and cheese. I think it's a great combination. And we are going to have quite a few orange wines coming up on Sunday at the Natural Wine Experience. I'm going to take a little taste. You guys should be tasting as well. And then I'll come back real quick and we'll talk a little bit about the flavor profile here and what to pair it with food-wise outside of a charcuterie board. Great flavors. You do get a little bit of that tannin on the back end that dries out the moisture in your mouth. It's not harsh. It's not bitter, but it's definitely there. Tugs the moisture out. Really, really delicious. If you're drinking this at fridge temperature, it's okay, but it's going to get better as it warms up. Usually with whites and oranges, I honestly, and rosés for that matter, I drink them all room temperature. I do chill sparkling wine, but that's about the only wine that I chill. And the reason for that is because the colder a wine is, the more muted the flavors are. Big producers will do this all the time when they come to taste us on wines that they know aren't very good, is they'll put them like ice cold and then they'll pour them straight into your glass because you can't taste anything when it's that cold. It mutes all of the flavors, not only the good flavors, but also the bad flavors. And so I like to enjoy all of mine at room temperature because I get more of the flavor profile of those wines at that temperature. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm a weirdo, but you should pull it out for about 10 minutes from the fridge to when you're pouring it in your glass to let it warm up just a little bit. So if you're drinking this one super cold, leave a little bit for after the tasting to warm up in the glass or warm up in the container, and then come back to it and see how it changes with that little bit of temperature fluctuation in that wine. All right. Pairing options. Great with grilled fish. Shrimp risotto, grilled scallops, anything seafood that goes on a grill, these wines are great with, because that char flavor sometimes can overwhelm some of the more subtle white wines, but the orange wines, because they have a little bit more complexity and a little bit more flavor, they can stand up to it. And roasted vegetables too. Orange wines, like rosés, are very versatile with things that are difficult to pair, and vegetables often fall into that category of things that are difficult to pair with wine. I think prosciutto and asparagus, this would just be really, really good with, or prosciutto and melon. All right, next up, day wines. Briand Day. Super, super excited to have these wines. Also super excited that we're going to host Miss Day on Zoom on July 7th. I believe that date is correct. We have our winemaker series coming up. And it's pretty exciting because we have a bunch of repeat winemakers that we had last year at this time on Zoom. And then we're also going to have some new winemakers that we didn't have last year on Zoom. And this is one of the new ones. She's also new to the state of Georgia. So about a year, I think, is all she's been distributed in the state of Georgia. A lot of small producers out of California, Oregon, Washington, they don't come to Georgia because Georgia is a very difficult state to work in. The distribution laws are very difficult. The taxation is the highest in the United States as far as wine is concerned. And there's a lot of small producers that don't distribute their wines in the state of Georgia. And not to get into the nitty gritty of all the laws, but if it's not distributed in the state of Georgia, I can't purchase it to sell to you. You could order it directly from the winery to your home to have it shipped and enjoy it, but I cannot get it from the distributor to sell to you, and I cannot buy it directly from the winery to sell to you either. I could buy it to take home and enjoy it, but I wouldn't be able to sell it to you. So when we found out she was coming, or when she came to the state of Georgia, we got very, very excited. Very limited wines in production. There's just like 10, maybe 15 cases that come to the state in some instances on some of these wines that she's producing. And they're just absolutely fantastic. Everything that I have tasted from her so far has been dynamite, and I have thoroughly enjoyed everything. And we have quite a few of her wines in the store at any given moment. Actually, I think we've sold out of a couple. We sold out of the Vinda Days Red, and we sold out of the Baby Cheeks Rosé, but we have a lot of the orange in stock. We've got some of the white in stock. We have another one of her orange wines called Tears of the Vulcan, which we are going to taste on her tasting coming up on July 7th. But just dynamite. Oh, and we also have the Deep Blue Pinot Noir up on the shelf right now as well. Just fantastic. So she's in Portland. She's in Willamette Valley. And this is her up in the top left corner. Beautiful, beautiful tasting room experience here. And this orange wine is really fun. Unique varietals for orange, Riesling, Müller-Thurgau, Gewürztraminer, and Pinot Gris. So some very aromatic varietals in this orange wine. I haven't seen a whole lot of Riesling orange wines. Müller-Thurgau is a popular grape for orange. And then I haven't seen a whole lot of skin contact Gewürz, and I have seen a lot of skin contact Pinot Gris. Skin contact Pinot Gris is very popular. But to put those other grapes in it is a really unique, fun blend. It's also a similar blend to, actually, no, it's not a similar blend to her white. So I take that back completely.
It's actually pretty close, Adam.
I thought it's got white had Pinot Blanc and a couple others in there.
It does, but it has a lot of Riesling and Müller-Thurgau in it, as well as Pinot Gris.
Okay, cool. All right, so not that far off, but she does add the Pinot Blanc into the white blend as well on top of these grapes. Several vineyards from around Willamette Valley, so she's sourcing from small, organic, and biodynamically farmed vineyards throughout the valley. Destemmed, fermented individually for about 8 days on the skin. So the last one we saw 7 days on the skins. Here we're at 8 days on the skins. And then this also partially went through a little bit of neutral French oak and went through partial malolactic fermentation as well. Malolactic fermentation is a secondary fermentation that involves the transitioning of the acids. Almost all red wine goes through malolactic fermentation. Some whites go through malolactic fermentation. The most famous is that ultra buttery Chardonnay. That is a result of malolactic fermentation. And basically, it's when a bacteria comes and it transitions sharp acids into mellow acids. So think the acid of a lemon and lime versus the lactic acid in milk. And that's the transition that's happening during the malolactic fermentation. And so it changes the way the wine tastes. It softens the acid and it adds some other flavors to the wine as well, depending on the grapes that are being used and the amount of time that it undergoes that malolactic fermentation. Love this wine. Alex, what's your thoughts?
So for those of you that were in our tasting last week, you know that I have a pretty serious love for Brienne Day and her wines. Sticking your nose in the glass just puts a big old smile on my face, and I like that about her wines. They're so intensely aromatic. They're so focused. You get what she's trying to do, even though she's blending all these different grapes together. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, me too. Well said. It brought a smile to my face, just sticking my nose in it as well. There's that little bit of petrol. It could come off as like a almost Sauvignon Blanc cat pee kind of flavor profile on the nose. But it's definitely not that way on the flavor profile. On the palate, you do get some tangerine, some orange. I'm getting some lemongrass and some herbal notes in the very background of it. And as Alex said, very, very focused. All of her wines that I've tasted have had impeccable balance and just really, really delicious and fun to drink. We do have a couple more cases of this wine stashed underneath the table. I don't know how available it's going to be throughout the rest of the summer, but we've got it for right now, so enjoy it while it's here. I forgot to mention prices, 25 on the first. This one is 29, I believe. Yeah, 29. I love it. And then as far as pairings are concerned, because it's Riesling, because it's Gewürztraminer, because it's aromatic, because it's high acid, these are great Pacific Rim wines. Kung Pao chicken, yes. Tofu with Asian influence. Glazed lemon cookies. Yeah. I don't often think of this kind of wine with dessert, but I think with that lemon and that sugar and the richness of that cookie, it would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you to Aaliyah for all of her wonderful pairing suggestions every week. She's not with us today. Her husband had some work, and she is doing mom duty tonight, but she always comes up with some great pairings that I would not have thought of, and this is right there with it. Egg rolls, dumplings, anything with that umami kind of flavor profile, a little bit of spice to it. Not too much spice, because you would want something a little sweeter if you were having really spicy. But any of those tacos, Korean barbecue tacos, this would be just dynamite with. But again, you can just enjoy it by the pool or the porch. We're going to bring back our summer theme. I don't think I've mentioned it in a while, but this is the category of wine that we have nicknamed patio porch pounder, because you can just sit out on the patio on the porch and pound a bottle really, really easily, and it is dynamite. All right, now from one of our newest favorite producers to one of our longtime favorite producers, this is Padari Chillario. For those of you who have been around the shop for a couple years, you know this name. For those of you who've been on our Zoom tastings, you see this name quite a bit, especially in the summertime. The summertime is the most exciting time to be a Padari Chillario fan, because we get the orange, we get the rosato, we get the il bafone, we get all the pet nats, which are starting to come in. We've got some Grisigno. And those are all spring summer releases, so coming into the fall, those wines will be gone. We will get the Rosso back, and we'll get some the Dolcetto, the Nebbiolo, some of the reds. But for the summertime, Padari Chillario, it's all about rosé, orange, pet nat, and bianco. And we are flush with all of their wines right now, and we are loving all of their wines. We just got another bonus case of Rosato. We thought we were going to be out for the season, but it showed up last week. And we've got a little bit more of the orange to run through. And we love these guys, Fausto and Cinzia Chillario. We did have them on a Zoom tasting last year. They are amazing. We're also going to have some of their wines at the Natural Wine Experience. Awesome young couple, group of friends that help them with their wine production, and as natural can be. Biodynamically farming in the vineyard, nothing added except maybe a small amount of sulfites when needed at bottling. And other than that, unfined, unfiltered. You can tell this is the cloudiest wine on the tasting. If you're looking at the wine itself, it is very, very cloudy, and it's got that beautiful hue to it that tells you I'm natural. And for $25 for a liter bottle, it's also the most economic orange wine that we have in the room at any given time. And I was telling Alex earlier today, I buy at least a bottle a week of this wine while we have it in stock because I love it that much. I can remember still vividly the first time I ever tasted this wine. We just got a case of it. It was 3 years ago. I was going down to Florida. I took 3 cases of wine with me for a beach trip. I met a bunch of friends there, so it wasn't just me drinking it. And I pulled out this bottle, and somebody started to drink it before I had had a chance to taste it because I just had a bunch of wine in the fridge and people were opening stuff. And I was like, please leave me at least a little bit of that because I haven't had it yet. And I tried it and fell in love with it instantly that day and have been in love with it ever since. So they're in Piedmont, Northwest Italy, and this is red wine country, just like Tuscany is red wine country, just like Napa Valley is red wine country. That's what they're known for. That's what they devote most of their vineyard holdings to. But there's some amazing whites in this area as well. And this is Arnace and Moscato, which you think of that and, oh, no, there is no Moscato in this. That's Bianco. My bad. There is no Moscato in this one. But there is Arnace and Moscato in the E Bianco, which we tasted last Saturday on our tasting, which we have. It's absolutely incredible. And it's not sweet, so don't let the Moscato scare you. This is Nancetta, and I don't even know how to pronounce that last one. Incrocio Manzoni. That is new to this vintage. Last year it was Arnace and Moscato. It was actually the same blend as the white, which I thought it was again. But two very, very not very well-known white grapes in northern Italy right here. I'm going to have to do a little research on that last one because, like I said, it's new to me. I've been doing this for 20-plus years, and every day I still learn something new, and there's still a new grape out there that I haven't tried yet, which I absolutely love. It's why I got into the wine industry. It's why I got sucked into the wine industry. It's why I still enjoy going to work every day. Chillario Vineyards, about 30 hectares between 5 different vineyard sites. They're a new generation of winemaker, which is very focused on sustainability, which is very focused on transparency, and which is very focused on going back to the old way of doing things before chemicals kind of ruined the wine industry. Spontaneous fermentation, 5 days of maceration. So this one sees actually a little bit less time on the skins. But you get more of that flavor from the skins, I think, in this wine. You get a little bit more tannin. You get a little bit more of the complexity. Amphora, which is a clay, almost cylinder, 6 to 8 months. And then minimal sulfur at bottling, 10 parts per million, no fining, no filtering. I'm going to get into this. Alex, thoughts on this today? You said it was probably the best you've tasted it.
Yeah, this wine is incredible. I actually have a little background on Incrocio Manzoni if you want that. So Manzoni is actually a guy's name. He was a professor at a university in Piedmont, and Incrocio is Piedmontese for cross. So the Manzoni grapes are a bunch of crossings that he developed at that university. This one is a cross between Pinot Blanc and Riesling, which is why you're getting that really nice, bright, fresh acidity.
Nice. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so bright. It's so juicy. You get that same kind of tangerine flavor that you got with the day wine, but even amplified. I'm getting a little bit of that tarragon again. I'm getting a little bit of that herbaceousness on the very back end of it. And just juicy. My mouth is salivating. The acid is high. It makes me want food. And it's really, really making me hungry. Pad Thai, coconut curry chicken, anything with coconut in this would be absolutely amazing. Any kind of summer salad, anything bright and fresh. Bitter greens would be great with this. And again, liter bottle for $25. So you get 33% more wine than in any of the other wines that we're featuring on this tasting. And like I said, very limited in quantity. I don't know how long it's going to last. And while it's here, it's always one of my favorite wines for summertime. Man, that is dynamite. All right. Now, for the last one, we're going to get a little weird. Not too weird. There's definitely, we could go weirder on this tasting. We've got some stuff in the store where we could go weirder, but this is from the progression that we've tasted. It's going to be more unique to your palate in what you've experienced in wine thus far, probably in your wine drinking lifetime experience, but I can't judge that because I don't know everything you've tasted. I just know for a lot of people, it's stretching the boundaries of what they've experienced as far as wine goes. So we're going to Germany for this wine, and this is Gustav Schaff, one of our favorite German producers. They make a dynamite dry Riesling, which we carry from time to time in the store when we can get it. They make some other wines that they don't bring to the state of Georgia. And then they make this really unique skin contact orange Chardonnay. So Chardonnay is the grape here, but this is going to be unlike any Chardonnay that you've ever tasted in your life. And the reason for that is because of the skin contact that you see in this. Also, a little bit of aging in oak casks. That's going to influence some of this flavor right here. And not very much malolactic fermentation, if any at all. So what they start with basically is a Chablis, an unoaked Chardonnay. And what they end up with is very, very far away from that because of the skin contact. So Gustav Schaff is Demeter certified. Demeter is the leading certification body for biodynamic farming in the world. It is based on the man who invented biodynamics, Rudolf Steiner, and it is really, if you get into farming certifications, it's the most rigorous biodynamic certification in the world. To get a Demeter certification means that you're doing absolutely everything that you should be. Biodynamic farming is a type of farming that takes organics to another level. They follow everything that you would do in organic farming, and then they also have a bunch of other things that they believe enhance the biodiversity of their vineyard and of their soil. Things like following the moon cycles for planting and for pruning and for harvesting. They bury hundreds of cow horns filled with shit throughout the vineyard at various points in the moon cycle to enhance the vineyard fertilization and life of the microbes in the dirt. And then there's a lot of other stuff that they do to make sure that their vineyard is the most healthy it could be. They don't bring in anything from the outside. Everything is created in the vineyard. They create their own compost. They create their own fertilizer. They create everything. It's a completely self-sustaining ecosystem within their vineyard site. And the reason that they do that is because they believe that you can't have healthy grapes if you don't have a healthy vineyard. And you can't have a healthy vineyard if you're spraying with pesticides. It's just impossible. Pesticides kill all of the good living organisms as well as all the bad living organisms. And so it's bad for you. It's bad for the soil. It's bad for everything. And so biodynamic and organic is very important to the natural wine movement because, again, nothing added, nothing taken away. That's the mantra for natural wine, for biodynamic and organic viticulture. 30-year-old vines here, single vineyard, fermented on the skins in native yeast fermentation. So the natural way to ferment the wine versus the commercial way to ferment the wine. It's aged 12 months in neutral oak casks, and it's aged on the lees and on the skins for that 12 months as well. That's why this color is so much darker than the other colors that we've experienced in the wines. It's because of that extra skin contact and what you're getting out of the skins over that additional time. Pair with autumn squash, mushrooms, roasted chicken, duck, tuna, pâtés. You need something with a little bit of richness to stand up to this wine because this wine has richness. When we were tasting it earlier, things like cardamom, things like ginger, allspice, lots of aromatics in this wine. and much more tannin structure on the back end as well. That dryness, that's from the tannins. Tannins are naturally present in all grape skins, especially wine grape skins. If you were to eat one off of the vine, it would be bitter, it would be harsh, it would not be sweet like a table grape. And that's why they can't make wine from table grapes, because the sugar content is too high, the acid content is too low, and the skins don't have enough tannins to make good wine. All wine is made from Vitis vinifera, a certain type of grapevine, and the berries are much different, much smaller, much harder, and with a lot more acid and less sugar than your plump, juicy table grapes. So you're getting that tannin from the skins. You're getting that umami. There's more spice than there is fruit in this wine. And there's a slight oxidation to it as well that's on purpose. And it's not for everybody, but if you love it, you love it, because it's unlike anything that you've ever had before. If you hate it, at least you've tried it, and you know that these types of orange wines may not be for you. Part of the wine journey and wine experience is not only figuring out which wines you love, but also figuring out which wines you don't like, so you can stay away from them. Now, these types of wines are very polarizing. Some people love them. Some people don't like them as much. There's not a whole lot of middle ground here. I absolutely love it. I think it's dynamite. I can just drink it on its own. I can drink it with a lot of different things. All of the dishes here are going to be enhanced from that cardamom, ginger, clove, allspice flavor characteristic, because a lot of those things see those ingredients or benefit from those ingredients from a cooking standpoint. And so naturally it makes sense that they would pair well together from a wine pairing standpoint. 33 on this guy. Also very limited. 35. Thank you, Alex. Also very limited. I think we've got a couple 6-packs, but this is one that we only see a couple times a year when it's in stock. Same with their dry Riesling. If you're a fan of dry Riesling and you haven't had the Gustav Schaff dry Riesling, you've got to, because it is incredible. And now is my favorite part of the wine tasting. Which wine was your favorite? We get surprised every week at the winners of these Timmys. How many people do y'all have with you today? Is it 4 or is it 10? We need to know before you start voting. This is my favorite time because I'm always surprised. And part of our mission at Fermented is to help you discover your palate. Your palate is not my palate. Alex's palate is not my palate. Aaliyah's palate is not Alex's palate. We all have unique palates that are unique to us as individuals, just like we like different types of music and different types of art and different types of food. There is no wrong or right when it comes to what you like, but we want to help you figure out what you like so that you can avoid the wines that you're not going to like. Now, we do want to stretch you, and we're not going to let you stay in a box forever, but we want you to find wines that you get excited about and then branch out close to those wines so that you know you're going to probably like most of the wines that you get because they're similar in style to the wines that we know you love. So put your votes in the chat function. Alex is going to tally them up for me, for us, and we're going to figure out who our winner is for this tasting. Only one vote per person. And if you've got multiple people at your house, let us know how many votes for each wine. Oh, this is a tough one. So I'm not going to go with Padari Chillario just because I always go with Padari Chillario. Although it is always one of my favorites in the store, I am going to have to go with Gustav Schaff Orange for my vote for this tasting, Alex, as you're tallying them up. What was your favorite, Monsieur?
I gotta go with my gal Brienne. For me, it's number 2 with the bullet. But has everyone voted that's going to vote? Last call.
All right, where are we at?
That's it.
Drum roll.
That is it. The winner, drum roll please, is number 1.
Number
Montozi
1.
Trebbiotto.
That's awesome. It is. It's a delicious wine. It's a great price point. And we actually are down to one bottle currently in the store, but we will be getting another case on Friday of this wine. So if you love it and you want us to set some aside for you, let us know in the chat function. You can order it online through the, well, actually you can only order one bottle through the store, because once you order that bottle, it'll be out of stock. But you can also call the store to reserve some for us to set aside for you on Friday as well. And then you can always email us orders, Alex at Fermented ATL, Adam at Fermented ATL, and we'd love to set them aside for you. Real quick, before we finish up our tasting, just want to wrap up a couple more announcements. Hopefully by now you have heard that we are opening up the Flight Club next door. It's going to be a wine tasting room adjacent to the current Fermented space. We are currently working on that right now and coming to you soon. Look for that sometime early to mid-July. We also have a great partner on the Zoom with us tonight. She's going to be supplying our charcuterie board for the event on Sunday, also for our private events and in Fermented Flight Club as well. It is help me say this, Miss Ashley, because I get tongue-tied on it every single time. And introduce yourself if you feel like it to everybody on Zoom right now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Lee, and it's Charcuter Lee.
Charcuter Lee.
Yes.
Okay. I always want to throw in an extra syllable there somewhere.
Yes.
So she's here local, and she's doing some really cool grazing boxes and charcuterie boards. If you're looking for a private event, she does a lot of private events as well. And again, we have her cards in the store. We're going to start using a lot of her products for our own tastings and charcuterie boards. So if you need anything from her, reach out to her. And thanks for joining on the tasting tonight. And we look forward to working with you. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Me too. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so keep that on your radar. Also coming soon, Fermented Canton. If you're over in the Canton area, we're going to be opening up a store in the Etowah Mill area. Really cool concept, right off of downtown Canton by Penn Hodge Development, and super excited about that. Also, great wine tastings coming up with all of our winemaker series. We are going to start transitioning to hybrid wine tastings once the Flight Club is open. So we will still have a Wednesday Zoom option for those of you who want to be remote, but we'll be casting from in the store. And those of you who want to be in person, we'll be doing the wine tastings in person on Wednesdays as soon as that gets open. All of the winemaker series will have cast via Zoom, and we'll have a TV in the tasting room, and you'll be able to hear from the winemaker there directly. Even though they can't be with us in person. And that's something that we're going to start trying to utilize on a weekly basis to try to get as many winemakers leading tastings as we possibly can, because it's like kids. Nobody knows the kids better than the parents. Nobody knows these wines better than the person who birthed them and brought them into this world. So we're going to try to do as many of those as we can. I feel like I'm missing something that I need to say, but I can't remember it because I can't remember it. Alex, am I missing anything coming up?
I think you're good, man. I think
Okay.
you touched all the bases.
All right, perfect. Well, happy Wednesday. Thank you so much. Really enjoy each and every one of these tastings. I missed you guys last week. Honestly, it was nice to have a day off for my daughter's birthday, but missed being a part of it. Love being a part of it. Thank you so much for your continued support for everything that we do. We wouldn't be here without you. We would not be expanding without you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of our team's heart. And continue drinking great wine. Continue telling your friends about where to get great wine. And continue to support these amazing people who are bringing us these amazing products without a bunch of shit and additives and all the crap that the commercial wineries are putting into their wines. So have an awesome Wednesday. We'll see you in the store soon. Bye-bye and thank you.